And everybody, my name is Gene Coltas. I'm presiding member for this Regional Development Assessment Panel meeting today, and I'll declare the meeting open at 2:01 p.m. And doing so, I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation and are joined by people from other lands around the state. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. This meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2025 and DAP Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website. During the meeting, panel members may refer to technical devices to assist them in considering the information before them. At today's meeting, the panel members are myself, Gene Coltas, presiding member. To my left, Mr. Andrew Howe, deputy presiding member, and to his left, Mr. Mike Moritz, specialist member. From the Shire of Northam, we'll have Councillor Julie Williams and Councillor Des Hughes for Part B of the agenda, and for Part C, we'll have Councillor Anne Ryan and Councillor Jared Kennedy, City of Busselton. I have two apologies for today's meeting. Councillor Maria Girac from the Shire of Northam and Councillor Kate Cox from the City of Busselton. Item 3 on the agenda is noting the minutes, and panel notes minutes of previous meetings are on the DAP website. Part B of the agenda for the Shire of Northam application. Item 1, I'll ask panel members to declare that they've considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and Part B related information. Would you please confirm by show of hands? Thank you very much. It's unanimous. Item 2, I have two disclosures of interest. Councillor Des Hughes, an impartiality interest on the item. Councillor Hughes has known Mia Davies for many years. Mia Davies gave a presentation to council, and she's employed by Procon Developments Proprietary Limited, who are the applicants in this. I've approved the ability of Councillor Hughes to sit on the panel, debate items and vote on the items, as he's was one of the councillors. His local government role was as a councillor during that presentation. Councillor Julie Williams also has an impartiality interest registered. Her details of disclosure is Procon Development Senior Employee Mia Davies is known to Councillor William as a former local politician and newly elected Chamber of Commerce, Northern Chamber of Commerce member. Councillor William sits on the Northern Chamber of Commerce as an ancillary, non-voting, voluntary representative of the Shire of Northam. The Chamber was recently awarded a grant from Procon Developments for an awards night that Councillor Williams did not attend. And both councillors, their interest to disclosure relates to their role as local government council members. Both are approved to sit, discuss the item and vote on it. Now, are there any other interests that whether the application was at a briefing or a council meeting, this item, was it discussed or no? Okay. Do any other members wish to make any other declaration of interest? No, thank you. Moving on to item 3 on the agenda, which is the application for a proposed medicinal cannabis hydroponic growing facility at number 239 Yilgarn Avenue, Melbourne. We have two presenters on the item today. Amber Cunningham against the application and Mr. Nick Hidding to support the application. So both presenters are advised that they have 3 minutes to make their presentation. Panel members have all read the documentation, so you're encouraged to focus on the key points you'd like to get across within the 3-minute time. Panel members will be invited to ask questions after your presentation. So, Amber Cunningham, would you like to make your presentation, please?
Yes, no worries. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to present. Firstly, I'd like you to imagine that this application is for a pumpkin crop. And the pumpkin crop is going to be growing some beautiful pumpkins that are going to be picked and maybe packed and then taken to Canning Vale and maybe bought by Coles and put in the beautiful supermarket. That would, but then maybe a particular year you're like, I want to do something different. I want to grow the specific variety of pumpkins that's used for jack-o'-lanterns so that everyone can have a fantastic Halloween. So you plant those ones instead, and they're actually made into jack-o'-lanterns for sale. So that's more like kind of an ornament. But at the end of the day, you're growing pumpkins and it's a crop. It's an agricultural crop. So that is part of why I am saying that this is not, because the Shire of Northam's local planning scheme does not allow intensive agriculture in light industry zones. And it's why this is not a suited development for this site. So that's one of my main points. And secondly, this application is piecemeal planning. Many aspects of it have not been thought through. If this were just a pumpkin crop, maybe it wouldn't be, maybe, you know, it wouldn't be as serious. But the fact is that this is a hydroponic growing facility, and as part of it, there's different requirements that have to be met in terms of security, and some of those things, such as the fence being on the border of the lot, and that, but then the applicant says that the fence is going to be electrified, which doesn't match up with the local planning fencing rules. The fact that they want to build it, it's proposed to be built right next to a publicly accessible truck road train assembly area, which is accessible to any road users. Also, I'd like everybody to scroll, and also the other thing, that the lot design has not even, it seems to be inconsistent throughout the document, and discussions of what's going to happen with the waste is inconsistent throughout the document. Like what's happening with organic waste, what's happening with sewage, it's inconsistent. You're wanting to make, there's a drainage plan in this document, but the final geotechnics of the site haven't been fully just decided, like earthworks is ongoing. And also this is not for a pumpkin crop picking and then packing facility. It's just for stage 1 of this development, not stage 2, which is the laboratory and other things, other manufacturing and processing. But anyway, I don't know how much time I have left, but let's just scroll, or if you have an actual piece of paper. If you have this related information, number 61, part B, please go to page 12, which is a picture of the caveat on the lot. So this shows this is a caveat present on the lot that does not seem to have been considered in the application. For example, it's showing, apart from the lot designs being different, such as, for example, you have a road reserve, which is a 30-metre wide road that goes around, which was meant to be for ROV restricted access vehicles, so that this is more integrated into the whole thing. That does not seem to be considered in the application. And there's the different, like the proposed area, which in this new lot design is 804, lot 804, it's different. And
your time is up.
Time is up. No worries. Thank you.
A bit of time. Thank you very much. I was going to let you wrap up, but thank you very much.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Do we have any questions from panel members of Ms. Cunningham? Yes, Councillor Hughes.
What does she see as the problem, Mrs. Cunningham, Miss Cunningham, of being staged? The business being staged to build it up to the final thing. Because a lot of businesses are like that. You have to go in one step until you get going, then you go the next step. And what's the problem with that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's more like the bigger picture. So, for example, the drainage that has been set up to create it as for the size of the roof of the stage 1 building. But if it's going to be connected to stage 2 of the building, shouldn't you take into account all the water that is going to be coming from both buildings so that you can use the same drainage system? And secondly, like throughout the document, they say, oh, we are going to be operating under Office of Drug Control regulations, but that's all that's said. And it's not just like it's just in the process of building, you will be able to have access to like things like being able to spend a lot of money on lighting, on lights for grow lights. And like, I just feel like this might be someone proposing a massage therapy business when in fact it's a brothel. Like, that's just something we have to think about.
Okay.
The application is stronger.
Thank you. I think we've got the answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions of the submitter? Yes, Member Howe.
Ms. Cunningham, land use is there to help mostly manage impact and amenity and clustering for economics and a whole lot of other things. And 20 years of planning degree, and we keep finding reasons to talk about land use. But in regard to this particular proposal, it is proposed in an industrial area that's being planned as such for the best part over a decade, as far as I know. And it's finally sort of coming to some sort of fruition. What's the impact on amenity that you're concerned about? Leaving aside how they're going to service it, that's really their concern. And similarly, fencing requirements, they can resolve those, I presume. That's just a planning issue or a site planning issue. And industrial properties have traffic and transport. What's your concern about amenity from this?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So firstly, as I described in both of my public submissions, and also if you go to page 16, which is some pictures towards the back of the related information, there's some photos there of the site. So it was omitted from the application that it's actually, and maybe it starts, Yilgarn starts on a hill, and it's one of the beautiful entryways into Northam. And you can see here at the top of Yilgarn on that corner of Great Eastern Highway, there's a beautiful Welcome to Northam sign. You can see the valley, and as you come down, as you can see from the second photo, it gives you, although unfortunately all the clearings happen, so that's just what it looks like on the right hand side there in that photo. You come down, and then so that's one thing, is that it's affecting what is an identified visual from a tourist, like identified in their planning strategy, a tourist route, and associated like valley setting of Northam. On top of that, it's as I said in the application, or in my thing, that emissions, I don't think there's enough evidence to say there's not going to be a really bad smell. It's the crop, cannabis is very oily, very smelly, and also, like, they say that they have the technology to deal with that, but I'm not yet convinced. And also just and even, yeah, those are some of my main points.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? If not, thank you, Ms. Cunningham, for your presentation. We can now move to Mr. Nick Hidding from Hidding Urban Planning to speak in support of the application. Mr. Hidding, would you like to commence your 3-minute presentation?
Thank you, presiding member, and good afternoon, panel members and Shire officers. My name is Nick Hidding from Hidding Urban Planning, and I'm the applicant for the proposed hydroponic growing facility, which is for the purpose of producing a regulated pharmaceutical grade medicine. And this is proposed in the emerging Avon West estate in Malabane, Shire of Northam. This development is the third development proposal in the estate, which is a 62-hectare planned industrial estate, which we are managing and are proud to be part of. There's a recommendation for approval in front of you this morning, which we are fully supportive of. We are happy with the conditions that have been recommended by the Shire, and we actually had a chance to review draft conditions before the report was finished. I'd like to thank the Shire for its thorough assessment and for working closely with us during the course of the application. A lot of information was provided to the Shire on request and in response to queries raised, and all of that information has been presented quite well in the body of the report, as well as in the supporting attachments. The application has been submitted and assessed as a use not listed, which we believe is entirely appropriate given the specialised specific nature of the use and because the activity doesn't fit reasonably within the defined use classes of the scheme. And this was confirmed during pre-lodgement discussions with the Shire's contract planner in June 2025 and during the ensuing months dealing with the officers at the Shire. There's been no issue raised in the way in which the application has been framed, and the Shire has assessed it on this basis, and we support the work that the Shire has done. As normal for a use not listed, the application has been publicly advertised with only one submission received out of the last round of advertising, and this has been fully responded to in attachments 15 and 16 of the RDAP. The Shire has assessed that the proposed use complies with the objectives of the light and service industry zone and is capable of approval, and indeed the proposed use, the building type and the operation is entirely appropriate in the light and service industry zone. In respect of some of the other matters raised this afternoon, the matter of the caveat on title, the proponent has been liaising directly with Main Roads in terms of the development of the estate and ensuring their caveat area is transferred to them in their own lot, which will be arranged through the imminent subdivision application that we're preparing. The proposed development sits outside of the caveat area, so there's no issue with this. The caveat area, if you'd like to know the extent of that, is the yellow area which is shown on the map contained in my written submission for this meeting, and you can see that the proposed development sits outside of that area. So there's no issue in respect of the caveat. In terms of staging, look, there's nothing stopping proponents from staging a development, and we've clearly showed the intent to expand the facility in future. In terms of servicing queries raised, the Avalon West estate, including this development, will be connected to power through the use of a microgrid facility, which will be comprised of a solar farm, rooftop solar from all future buildings in the estate, and solar pave technology, which is a solar pave technology proposed in the roadways. And together this will create a microgrid facility generating more than enough power to run the entire estate, meaning there is no requirement to connect to Western Power. In terms of wastewater will be directed to the approved wastewater treatment facility, which this panel approved in July 2025, and will involve a gravity feed network from all future lots. In terms of odour and emissions, the Shire has recommended a condition to deal with those, which is normal, and it's a valid way to address it. The operator, Vitaponics, is a very experienced operator in these matters and will have no problem demonstrating compliance.
Your time is up now, Mr. Hidding.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Member, and look forward to the termination of this matter. Happy to take any questions.
Questions from the panel. Councillors, any questions? No? Panel members? Yes, Member Morris.
Thank you, Presiding Member. I just wonder whether you have a comment with respect to the issue of raised by the concerned resident with respect to the landscape amenity issue. I just wondered whether you had any comment with respect to that.
So the landscape amenity question, or the landscape values, that was a strategy requirement that emerged in the local planning strategy, and indeed the local planning strategy and the preceding Northam growth plan, I think it was 2011, which was developed prior to the local planning strategy. Look, this area has been earmarked for industrial expansion, and that has resulted in what you see today, a light and service industry zone in that area. In terms of built form, there are controls in the scheme that deal with bulk and scale and height, and we're fully compliant with all of those, notwithstanding that there is that landscape values strategy or high level guidance. We have to deal with the planning controls in the scheme that are available. This is an industrial estate. So look, that's probably the extent of my answer for that.
Thank you.
I've got a question, Mr. Hidding, and that is in the staging of development, the presenter queried the ability of the next stage to handle things like organic waste, sewer, drainage. Do you have a comment to make as to how that will be handled through, I presume, a fresh application to cover all of those items?
Thank you for the question, presiding member. Yes, absolutely. The next stage will involve a fresh development application, which will include all of the normal supporting reports and attachments dealing with all of those matters as we normally would do.
Thank you. And on the electric fence, I note in the RA that there is a comment that that would be required to have a fresh application through the fencing bylaw, I think it is. You're aware of that?
Yes, we're aware of that. If and when the fencing matter comes up, we can either go with what's authorised, and or if the proponents want to go with electrified fence, that can be subject to a fresh application, which the Shire can either approve or refuse, and we'll do whatever the Shire wants in that respect.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions. And panel members not? Okay, thank you. All right, thanks, Mr. Hidding and Ms. Cunningham. We'll now move on to...
Can you just explain to them the question time?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
No, there is no further question. Once you've made your presentation and questions are made, the questions from presenters or to presenters is from the panel members, not from presenters themselves. Thank you. Right, we'll now move on to the Shire of Northam officers. And first of all, I think we've got Natasha German and Thor Farnworth. And we know who's going to answer the questions?
I'm happy to take those questions. I have my colleagues in the room, so Natasha's with me now.
Well, would you like to make any comment following the deputations that have been made, or are you happy to go straight to questions?
I'm happy to take questions. I think the report is doing the job.
Okay, thank you. Panel members, are there any questions of the Manager for Planning and Environment? Yes, Councillor Williams.
Yes, thank you. My question is on page 14 of the RA, it says that this will be the first project to be established within Avon West. Just confirming if the wastewater treatment facility will actually be up and running before then, given that that is where the waste water is actually meant to be going, and that was a requirement for the subdivision to happen, please.
Let's take just to, if I may, panel, I just want to confer for a technical answer on that. So the subdivision has to go in first before the DA. That's correct. Yeah, I thought so. So as my understanding was in the handover and takeover of this matter and dealing with it, the construction, and Nick can correct me if this is not the case, but it's my understanding that no development can occur on the future lots until the subdivision has been constructed and developed and effectively cleared. So the infrastructure will be in place to accept the waste from each of those lots as a serviced lot. I would be incorrect?
That would be correct. That's the normal requirement. So any further questions, councillors? No? Okay, panel members, are there any questions?
Yes, it's already established. It's got to plumb into it.
Shire officers?
Yeah, hasn't started development. It's on one of those records.
Yes, thank you. All right, well, that ends the presentations and questions of the officers. Now, as a panel, we will move into the report and consider the recommendation. Before we can do so, I need a mover and seconder for the application or the responsible authority report recommendation. Do I have a mover?
I'm happy to move the
Member Moritz. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Williams. Mr. Moritz, would you like to speak to the item?
Thank you very much. My review of the documentation indicated to me there was a very thorough assessment of the matters at hand, the process. Unlike the person raising their concerns, I think it was a very thorough assessment and detailed. I think the issue of the land use was handled well in terms of how it was dealt with in the context of that proposal. And I'm very comfortable that the proposal fits the land use needs and all the work that's been done to assess the impacts. and the conditions around odour. I think the issue of landscape amenity was something that was needed to be considered way back when the industrial estate was actually positioned in that particular location. So I'm very comfortable that the proposal should be supported.
Okay, Councillor Williams, a seconder, you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Presiding Member. I did have concerns when this was first raised, but having read through the entire document, I have a much better understanding of what is actually involved, and I'm now comfortable and you're quite excited, to be honest, about this actually coming to fruition. It is an industrial estate. I think that this has properly been classified as a use not listed, not agriculture. I think that any concerns about safety or security are matters that the proponents are going to have to deal with in the fruition of time. This is purely a request to have this as the purpose for the property. Sorry, I'm getting a bit tongue-tied. And I appreciate the questions that were asked. I think that the presenters, Ms. Cunningham, actually did a very good job and raised lots of questions. Many of them weren't actually relevant to this development, were more across the whole site, and I think that's really irrelevant. But a lot of the questions were about this particular proposal, and it has actually made me a lot more aware of the situation, but I am very comfortable in the report that has been done by the Shire's officers and also by the planning people. So I'm happy to second this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the panel wish to speak on the item? Councillor Cunningham, Councillor Hughes?
I'm okay, thanks. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Member Howe?
According to the Office of Drug Control, the Australian Government, there's 36 producers of similar type medicinal cannabis facilities in Australia. So it's a well-known, established industrial sector and growing, clearly. I don't think this is piecemeal planning. This is a specifically designed facility that is located in a light industrial zone, which may or may not be in the right place according to Ms Cunningham, but however, the zone is there now, and that's been planned for some time and it's going to be finished. And I think the nature and scale of this intensive manufacturing and processing essentially is evolving all the time, and hence it's sort of being an unlisted use. I don't think the value or the nature of the material being produced is a planning consideration. They're there to do with the operation. In any case, this is a fully enclosed sort of facility that, according to the plans, is appropriately managed in that sense. So I'm fully able to support this application and the recommendation.
Thank you. I'll just summarise some of my thoughts. The use class that's been chosen as a use not listed is appropriate. The facility has a mixture of uses such as growing, drying, storage, office, transport, and as a use not listed, it was tested against the light and service industrial zone definition in the scheme and the objectives of the zone, and I concur with that. The built form and site layout is appropriate, thoroughly assessed against a number of development consideration, including access, parking, vehicles, trips generated. And in regard to those issues, it's clear that the site will have minimal impact due to the relatively low number of service vehicle trips generated and low parking demand. The landscaping plan that was submitted allows for 26% of the site landscaping, whereas 10% is the minimum required, so it's in excess of the minimum requirement. The bushfire management plan which was prepared for the estate is appropriately will mitigate through subdivision design and overall development provisions through provision of reticulated water supply and appropriately placed fire hydrants or fire valves. The site service adequately with reticulated water supply, a sewer connection to a wastewater treatment plant, underground power, and the waste management plan requires to be prepared. Odour management is addressed through the building design and incorporates appropriate filters to ensure that no odours are exhausted from the building, and an odour management plan is conditioned to manage the issue of odour management ongoing. The proposal was assessed under the applicable scheme provisions for land use, setbacks, waste treatment, etc., and variation in parking supply was recommended and justified under the traffic details. So in summary, the facility is supported as it complies with the planning framework and contributing to the development of the Avon West industrial estate and the local economy, and I'll be supporting it. That being the case, I'll pass back to the mover of the motion to support.
I don't have anything further.
In that case, I'll put the recommendation as published to vote. All those in favour? Yes, it's carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on the agenda, item 4, Form 2 DAP applications, there are none. Section 31, considerations, there are none. That being the case, I'll thank Councillor Williams and Councillor Hughes for their attendance and participation, and thank you presenters and council staff. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to part C of the agenda. Log everyone in.
Good to go.
Okay, at this point, I'll welcome Councillor Ryan and Councillor Kennedy to the panel. And in doing so, I'll ask all panel members to signify that they've considered all documentation contained within Part C of the agenda and Part C related information by raising your hands, please. That's unanimous. Thank you. On item 2 of the agenda, I have a disclosure of interest from panel member Andrew Howe. It's an impartiality interest. The details are that Andrew Howe was a previous employee of Element Advisory who have provided town planning services to 5 in this application. Mr. Howe has not provided services to 5/8 for over 2 years, and Element, the firm he was with, has not provided consultant services in any capacity on this project, and therefore he is authorised to sit, discuss the item and vote on it. Thank you. Council members, I'll just ask whether this application has been before you at a briefing or a council meeting.
No.
Thank you.
We have had a briefing.
What was the nature of the briefing, please?
Just an overview of what would be coming up.
Who was the overview given by?
The city planning officers.
Was it a general or were there any particular aspects discussed?
It's just a general
overview. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that. We'll move on then to item 3 on the agenda, which is the application for proposed rural holiday resort, restaurant, cafe, reception centre and exhibition centre and private recreation on lots 15 and 26 Caves Road, Williabrup. We have 2 presenters, both in support of the application. I'm not sure which one you were going first. Sally Burkhead from Urbis, the Town Planning Consultants, will speak. As I mentioned, we have 3 minutes for you to make your presentation, so concentrate more on the overall.
Thank you very much and good afternoon, members and staff. My name is Sally Burkhead. I'm an Associate Director at Urbis, representing 5/8 Cape in relation to item 2 of the agenda, being the redevelopment and revitalisation of portions of Cape Lodge. We have members of the project team available to answer questions members might have, and I don't add that Dylan Ray from Western Environmental is available online to answer any bushfire management related questions. And I have Daniel Griffin in the room as well from 5A if there are any questions of the proponent. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of the recommendation of the City of Busselton's RAR, recommending approval to a range of conditions. Cape Lodge is an iconic tourism site within the Margaret River region. Its redevelopment provides for an expanded and upgraded accommodation options with a net increase of only 4 keys to 30 keys total. Diversity in guest and visitor experiences, including a day spa and art walk, and overall upgrades to its currently ageing buildings and infrastructure. The proposal has been subject to early and ongoing engagement with the city, and the project team has worked proactively to address the neighbours' concerns following advertising. As a result, proposed accommodation in proximity to the neighbouring property has been substantially reduced in number from 8 units to 4 units and height from 2 to single storey. The design of these buildings has been modified to further reduce impact and ensure the buildings blend into their natural surroundings. We've modified the design and location of access and parking to reduce amenity impacts to the neighbour and introduced landscaping treatment outside of the APZ to further screen the development. Overall yield has also been reduced by 1 proposed accommodation unit as a result. As a result of the design changes, the neighbour is satisfied and has withdrawn his objection. The proposal is supported by a range of technical investigations, and minimising tree loss has been a key focus throughout the design process. The proposal is responsive to the findings of these investigations to achieve compliance and to present a proposal that is sensitively designed, site responsive and has minimal site impact. Whilst our client is generally accepting of the recommended conditions, we are requesting removal of those conditions requested by Main Roads regarding the treatment of Caves Road in proximity to the site. The impact of this treatment, which Jacob will address from a traffic safety perspective in his deputation, raises significant concern over the resulting loss of potentially large numbers of native trees in this location. Subject to detailed design, survey information currently indicates that this could be in excess of 20 mature native trees and other vegetation on the northern side of the road. The potential visual and environmental impact of the condition is of substantial concern. We've also worked with the city to come to agreement on 2 other minor modifications to conditions, which you'll note in the amended memo that we've provided. So consistent with the recommendation of the city's RAR, we recommend and request the DAP's approval to the proposal, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that members might have.
Thank you. I'll open up questions of councillors first on the panel.
Yes, thank you, presiding member. I do have a question, but it is more to staff of the RAR. Should I ask that later?
Yeah, well, it would be best to, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions of the presenters?
Can I
sorry.
ask?
Sorry,
That's okay.
I didn't see.
I have concerns similar to the applicant on the Main Roads request to remove trees for the treatment that they think is required. Is there any ability to reconsider that aspect of it? Because I'm mindful Caves Road is a tourism road and it is popular because of the beautiful old trees and so on. And the applicant has also been told by DBCA that they to be mindful of the tree removals on the land itself. Yet Main Roads are suggesting that these beautiful trees be removed. Now, I'm not a raving greenie by any extent, but I just think that surely there is another way of improving the access and egress without taking out these major trees. And I'm wondering if any of the panellists could perhaps come up with an alternate method that could be considered later on.
Well, we'll discuss that later, but at this stage, I'll put it to the applicants. I will probably just follow on from that in that I note in your submissions, you're saying that you don't consider it necessary given the test for the requirement is met with the existing access point.
Shall I
Yes,
proceed?
please proceed.
Okay. Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name's Jacob Martin. I'm the Senior Principal for Transport Planning at WSP.
Can I get you to make your presentation then?
Absolutely.
I think it would be good to get your views on it, which will flesh out their answers to our queries. I think,
I
Councillor.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I should have let him go straight away and then ask questions of both.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely happy to answer questions after this. So, as Sally was describing, the proposed redevelopment for Cape Lodge is fairly modest in terms of additional traffic generation. So, we went through a pretty rigorous analysis to look at what the parking requirements would be and what that would reflect in terms of trip generation. As part of that, we did an intersection analysis using Main Road's warrant structure. And that is used to determine the extent of work Main Road request for a road upgrade. However, in this environment, it's a regional road, carries a certain number of vehicles, about 120 to 150 vehicles in each direction during the peak hour. Main Road's warrant requires only 5 turning vehicles to trigger an upgrade requirement, irrespective of almost everything. It's basically a speed versus turning volume arrangement. If you hit 5, it requires upgrade. Now, that's just a warrant. It's not necessarily related to any strict road safety concerns, but in some environments that might be appropriate. So as a result of the request, we've followed up with additional assessment on what's the road environment and what would the impacts of applying that standard be. And in this case, the increase in traffic volumes, which we went through a pretty robust analysis, effectively doubles, I guess, from 6 vehicles an hour during the peak to 10 vehicles an hour during the peak. That's for the critical right turn movement that would trigger the upgrade under the warrants. There are obviously more vehicles turning in and out, but that's the total.
Can I just ask, the right turn, is it right turn out or right
turn in? So the right turn
south into.
Yes. Yeah. So from the south right, that critical volume is what triggers in Main Roads the warrant requirement for this upgrade. Now, that warrant is, I would say, not neutral on safety. While theoretically the intention is to provide a stopping place for turning vehicles who are then slowing down and waiting for oncoming traffic, in practice, traffic volumes that are opposing this are in the order of 120 vehicles an hour. The average duration of a waiting vehicle is less than 10 seconds. It also, because of the nature of the way this works, even if there were a delay, what it does is it puts a vehicle on the center line. That's not a real problem, but it does require all traffic that would theoretically overtake to shift left, basically closer to the tree line, to create a safe environment for those higher speed traffic movements. You need to not only create an extra 3.5 meters of carriageway and the soft shoulder to support standard movements, but you also need to create sightline visibility so that they can see around this edge. That's the envelope that then effectively destroys 20 odd trees. It also has some other implications. There's a drainage swale on the western side. That drainage swale would no longer be there, and it would need to be replaced by a curbed and drained solution. It's a very expensive piece of gear because you're talking about several hundred meters worth of asphalt that goes into this regional road. It's also not consistent with anything. I did this comprehensive list for at least like 10 Ks north and 10 Ks south, and there's essentially 2 formalized road intersections, access road to access road.
I have to say that your presentation is over.
Oh, yes.
However, we will guarantee that you can continue through questions.
Thank you very much.
Right. Now, councillor Ryan, would you like to ask your question, please?
My question is, what other things could be done? Is there any other conditions that we could impose that would satisfy your working with Main Roads to come up with a solution that would not remove as many trees and was perhaps a smaller solution to the access and egress and obviously the users of Caves Road?
Okay, you can proceed now to
Okay,
Story.
so I think there are two simple modifications that can be made. One of them is just some minor improvement to the left turn into the site. It's really just formalising what's already there in terms of space and width. The second one is probably much more important. It's some minor improvements for the visibility of approach signage from the south so that people are more aware of the Cape Lodge entrance on before arrival. It gets them understanding they will need to slow, observe and turn. That signage can be a bit obscured because of the way it is, and one of the issues is that Main Roads doesn't like that form of signage within the public roadway, so it is intentionally obscured. If we could provide a better outcome to make that more obvious, I think you'd have a net safety impact. That said, there's no history of road safety issues at the site, so it's all pretty theoretical.
Okay, thank you. So would that would still require you to lodge an application with Main Roads for a sign?
Yes.
My recollection of Caves Road is there seem to be a lot of signs in the private property saying, that you're approaching the access to a vineyard or whatever. Could that be, in the absence of a Main Roads approved sign, can you envisage some signage internally? I acknowledge that may require the approval of the Shire or the city, sorry.
Yes, I think that would be an alternative. Obviously, my preference would be to have it more prominent, and so in the public roadway is the most prominent location, but recognising that Main Roads has previously objected to similar signage, there might some improvements to signage within the property boundary facing south, I think would.
Is there any signage within the property boundary now telling you that Cape Lodge is there? I can't recall.
Yes, there is. There's an A-frame. There is some signage on the walls because of the existing layout of the intersection, which has a driveway to the north, immediately north of the southern access driveway to Cape Lodge. There's some constraints there, but I think there's a solution.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions of the presenters? Yes.
Jacob, do you have is there any specific accident data that?
Yes, I looked, there's no crash history.
Okay. In essence, you're saying that extraordinary formula in here is what's triggering. I'm glad you didn't explain that to us. It's triggering the one vehicle every 12 minutes or every 10 minutes is causing them to require these significant roadworks. Not taking into account anything to do with the other planning and environmental factors that we need to consider while making a decision about this. Is that correct? It's purely empirical.
I will simplify this even further. Yes, there is a complex formula that doesn't trigger the requirement to go from a simple intersection to a basic intersection, which is what is at play here. That is to see whether you need to provide auxiliary or channelized infrastructure. The simplified formula for this site is number 5 or larger? If so, upgrade. We had to do that for diligence, but that's the basic metric is 5 vehicles an hour.
5 turning vehicles.
5 turning vehicles.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? At the heart of the debate is more trees or less trees better from a road safety? And it's a complete paradigm conversation because I've seen plenty of evidence of driving about halfway around the world of more trees actually manages the speed much, much better. Do you have a point of view with respect to that?
So I gave a peer presentation at the National Congress in 2023, where my central thesis was retaining more trees closer to the carriageway will slow traffic and create better road safety outcomes. So yes, I have a few.
That would be my
Okay,
long distance driving experience.
thank you. Are there any?
And if I may, and 50 years of driving up and down Caves Road.
Okay, any further questions of the presenters? If not, thank you. We may still cross over to you later. In the meantime, I will invite council staff to your comments to make on the presentations, or do you wish to go straight to questions? Aaron? Oh, Bethany, sorry, Bethany.
No, we're happy to go straight to questions.
Okay, questions from the panel to the council. Yes, Councillor Kennedy.
Yes, thank you, presiding member. My question is noting the intersection of treatments from WSP and their deputations. So when would Johnson Road and other intersections require an upgrade to an implementation of a basic right turn?
I might ask Main Roads to actually, so that's actually a Main Roads intersection, and I know they are on the line. So I will ask Main Roads if you have any information in terms of those intersections and the upgrades, if any are required.
Yes, thank you. I suppose in short, looking at those intersections in the table with regards to the different treatments that are currently in place, the short answer is once those intersections hit the threshold for turning movements, then that would require reassessment and potential upgrade. So for Johnson and the other similar public road intersections.
When would they require, how would you know?
Well,
you have traffic counts on them, do you?
Well, that's right. So I can't give a definitive date because I don't have the traffic data for Johnson Road at hand.
So, and who would undertake the works?
For public roads, it's between the city and Main Roads to provide intersection upgrades. It's a different situation when it comes to driveways and commercial accesses.
Okay, thank you. There are a number of access crossovers listed in the presentation from. Have you got a copy of that?
Oh yes, I've got to take that table.
And the comments made that upgrade to BAR standard has not been applied consistently. Do you have a comment on that?
I suppose I can't speak on any historic development if it wasn't referred to Main Roads or if the requirement wasn't upheld to provide the BAR.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Kennedy.
Yes, thank you. And another question, whether Main Roads can answer this, but what is expected if a BAR is determined at this access? What is the level of works that needs to happen? Is it a structural works? Does the main road need to get redone, or is it simply extending the seal?
So I suppose for the BAR treatment, the expectation would be that the existing pavement of Caves Road would be suitable, and it's just an extension building out that pavement and sealing it. Sorry, I missed the name earlier, but someone spoke about what that meant as far as once you've widened the sealed area, the requirement for a shoulder and a drain and how that all fits in, which my understanding seems to be the sticking point with regard to the vegetation, because that's what would impact that vegetation rather than the actual pavement and seal works.
Sorry,
Yeah, great.
I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat that again, please?
I was just saying that if you widened the sealed area to accommodate that BAR treatment, which effectively is to allow a vehicle waiting to turn right and enough room for a vehicle coming up behind to manoeuvre around them. Once you've provided that pavement, so the seal width, then we need a drain so we can get water away from the road, and then however that the batter and the other works may be required.
And what's your comment about the loss of vegetation? The comments that the presenters have made, the extent of loss of vegetation.
Well, yes, Taves Road is a bit of a unique road, and we do try to preserve as much of that aesthetic as possible, which is where I suppose I haven't seen a specific design and what that impact would be, particularly the reference to the 20 trees, but we could, as part of the design review process, try to minimise that clearing, whether that's steepening up batters, providing other treatments so that we impact less trees. We can tighten that up. But the requirement for the BAR is more around the safety of the vehicles on the road. And the vegetation's impact is a flow on from that, but there are engineering treatments that can be applied.
And the comment about signage, do you see that would assist in negating the need to do the widening?
Well, no, I don't agree with that. As someone pointed out earlier, there is a lot of signage along Caves Road. So additional signage may just cause more confusion, but also the signage is around identifying that there's an intersection coming up. The risk we're trying to address is a vehicle waiting in the middle of the road. There's not a sign for that scenario.
And the comment made was that it's only a small amount of traffic in excess of what already is generated from the current site. Do you have a comment on that?
Well, there's a few different views on that. It could either be death by 1,000 cuts if it was just incremental over time, but in reality, I suppose the warrant thresholds for the upgrades are based around conflict, higher speeds, higher through movements, conflicting with the turning traffic. So in this environment, the X value that's referenced in WSP's report talks about like a quantifiable limit of conflict, and therefore the 5 vehicles is really a reasonable threshold to not do an upgrade. I don't see it the other way around. It's not a trigger to suddenly do something. There's a warrant based on risk and safety, and it's unreasonable to expect that if you've only got 3 turning vehicles to spend a sum of money upgrading a crossover or providing these turning treatments. But so the threshold with the number 5 is really just the opposite. It's to say, well, even if there is risk, the opportunity and occasion for that risk to occur, 3 right turning vehicles within a peak hour, is relatively low, so therefore you don't need to do anything. So I suppose it's a bit of a difference of opinion with regard to whether it's increasing over the 5 threshold or whether 5 is actually a benefit in allowing a lesser treatment in the interim until traffic hits that point. Which, yeah, 10 vehicles per hour in the peak is relatively high.
Okay, thanks, Sharon. I don't have any further questions. Other panel members, any further questions of council staff?
Just one, sorry, one thing to Main Road. So despite general advice that forewarning of a road sign saying vehicles turning into subject property, you don't think that is of any assistance?
Not in a road environment that has hundreds of signs that all says there's a side road or there's a business or something is coming up. Driver behaviour alludes to more, they effectively get decision blindness. So you drive along a busy road and you see hundreds of signs, you're only really focusing on the ones that are relevant to you. If you're not intending to turn into this business, you're not looking for Cape Lodge written on a sign.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Can
Yes,
I just,
Councillor Ryan?
thanks, Presiding Member. If I can ask Main Roads, what part of the condition is discretionary and what is mandatory?
I suppose the way that condition is worded is that they're to provide a basic right turn treatment. So Main Road Standard has a width and a length for that treatment, and any associated drainage or curbing that might be required.
So it could be a discretionary requirement.
Sorry, with regard to the amount of impact?
Well, the suggestion of what your requirement is it legally required, or is it something that you have suggested?
I don't believe it's legally required. It's more of a safety impact.
Right. And can I also ask why you would not consider just reducing the speed limit on that road to 70? It was 90. It's been put down to 80. It's a tourism road. Would you not consider putting it down to 70 and giving us a bigger safety impact, for want of a better word?
I can't talk on the safety requirement. Sorry, that's not my field. Sorry, the speed zoning, I mean.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Yes.
To Main Roads, I'm just inferring from what you said earlier on that there may be less impact on trees than might have been suggested by the applicant. And so I'm trying to get to, is there a compromise inside that condition that actually comes up with meeting the basic requirements of the right turn, but minimising the amount of tree and other site works that's necessary?
Perfect question. Thank you, Member.
I mean, that would, I suppose, mean a lot of detailed work, like a detailed site plan. I mean, I'm preferring personally against removing the condition, but I can see some value in what you're talking about. So is there a condition or a modification to the condition that actually helps establish some sort of compromise? That means, because if you apply the basic set of rules associated with that basic right turn, and if the worst case scenario is 20 odd trees, then I think that's an unacceptable decision by this panel in that context. So I'm trying to find a compromise.
I suppose in answer to that, I haven't seen a condition specifically worded to what you're alluding to, but I suppose Main Roads would be of the opinion that as long as the upgrade to that right turn movement and that requirement is met, then how much impact that has, what other treatment could be applied, like a steepened batter and so on, we would have to do further detailed design to work out what the impact of the vegetation is and how we can limit that impact. But I certainly would be of the opinion would be focusing on reducing the impact on the vegetation as much as physically possible.
My observation here is that the condition is to the satisfaction of the council on advice from Main Road. So,
And
as a
agreed,
panel,
and agreed by the Main Roads at the moment.
Yeah, that's what it says at the moment.
agreed implies approval, and we don't issue approval on a third party, doesn't. So it has to be
Modified
reworded
anyway,
in any event.
Okay.
But it is a council condition under this particular regulations, and it's the same with 5.1. It'll be approved by the city on advice from Main Roads. So there may be some ability to involve the council in the final design, if that's the case.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the intent.
We won't debate it.
Sorry.
I'm just saying that for clarification and for Main Roads and council officers. Okay, do we have any further questions?
Presiding member, is it possible to add into that conversation? Before the meeting, we actually discussed with Main Roads possibility of actually the right turn movement into lot 15 rather than the existing access. There's a proposed condition 5.9 already for a legal agreement with an easement for access. But what that would mean was the BAR could be slightly further to the north without as much vegetation removal.
Well, I wouldn't like to start designing access into and out of this. We have before us a development application which shows things and requirements from various authorities. Our role is not to redesign it. If the condition is left, then the proponents may come back with a Form 2 to change that, but in this case, we're not here to do that. We can discuss that certainly, but I don't think we're here to redesign the development, because I think they may have other reasons for keeping access the way it is and lot 15 to be utilised for other things. So I take your point. Thanks for that comment, Bethany. I think that it was Bethany, wasn't it?
No, Joe Wilson.
Sorry, can't see on no tags on anybody, and it's quite a lot of people in the room. But thank you for that. Are there any further questions? If not, we'll move into the application, and the panel can debate the item. We need to have a mover and seconder for the recommendation as published. So can I have a mover, please? Moved Councillor Ryan. A seconder? Yes, Member Howe. Thank you. Councillor Ryan, would you wish to speak, please?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. This is a great development in a iconic location. Cape Lodge has been there and for many years, servicing locals and tourists alike. The only issue that I have, as previously discussed, is the onerous imposition of the road upgrade to service what I would have thought would not be a great deal more people. And I just think that if the other members could come up with a solution to 5.1, I think that would be a fantastic solution to have DBCA, as I said before, suggest that trees should be kept as much as possible, and then to be removing probably more on the road is just at odds with each other as far as I'm concerned. But I thank the developer for his $22 million which is the cost of the application. And I think this would be a worthy development to add to our stable of offerings in Busselton. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconder, who used to speak to the motion.
I echo Councillor Ryan. I think the proposal meets pretty well all the objectives of the viticulture and tourism zone. And I think it complies with the relevant clauses of the landscape value area as a special control area. And it's a great initiative and willing to support it subject to further debate around condition 5.
Okay. Any other speakers? Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, okay, I may as well speak. I am for it as the officers recommend it. I think, yes, we do have to have regard to the adequacy of the access and the amount of traffic generated. I am a bit confused, but the number that comes to mind is the 47 vehicles per hour, because there was lots of technical data thrown around that. And I think that is a reasonable amount of traffic generated there. And we have to really consider the seasonal nature of that road. It's a very popular meandering drive, and we have limited sight lines, and that right turn in particular, could be seen as dangerous, as you can't overtake, you'd hit a batter there. We also need to consider the cumulative impact across the 10 years, across the very popular area. We were talking before about the amount of signs that are going up around the place, and that adds to the driver behaviour. When you're driving down that road, you're looking for where to go, and just because you're not going to Cape Lodge, you may miss that car that is trying to turn in that peak moment of traffic. And we really need to consider the safety there. I think there was 9 crashes in total along that section, but only 5 in, from October to March, which is that busy period. But yeah, so the other thing to consider, yes, is main roads, and they're obviously for the upgrade of that bar. And from the questions there, it was an extension of seal, so not a yeah, I'm sure it still is significant, but not as significant as a major structural one. And I think with the local planning policies, there will be consideration. So at the moment, it's just an assumption that so many trees will be cleared and that we'll have drainage problems. That will all get fleshed out in the detailed design. And I'm sure we'll get some good results there. So yes, in conclusion, I am supportive of the recommendation from Main Roads and the RAR.
Thank you. Mike, you wish to speak to the item?
Well, I'd like to move an amendment when the right time.
Well, now's the time.
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of the proposal in line with everyone was saying, but I think there's an amendment that's needed to 3.1. I might try to craft some words, but we take on other points of view. So my suggestion is that 3.1 gets modified something along the lines of an access concept plan to be submitted to the city for approval, with advice from Main Roads in a way that meets the intent of the BRT or the bar treatment, but minimises the amount of vegetation and tree removal as part of the design of that concept. And I think there needs to be a supplementary one for 5.1 as well? Or there just needs to be consistency with 5.1.
Do you have that wording captured?
4.
Access concept plans to be submitted to the city for approval with advice from Main Roads that meets the intent of the BAR but minimises the tree removal.
Tree and vegetation removal.
Tree and vegetation removal. Full stop?
Yeah.
Okay, that's amendment 1 to the recommendation. By, seconded by
I'm happy to second.
Councillor Ryan. Used to speak further on the.
Oh, no, I think we've had enough discussion, but my question is whether or not we need to do 5.1.
I have a seconder that may wish to speak to it as well, and any other member as well.
No, thank you. I think my intent's been clear.
Okay, do you wish to speak? Councillor Kennedy, do you wish to speak to that amendment at all?
No.
I will. I'm not quite sure the condition can be defined as being certain, because it talks about that meets the intent and minimises the tree and verge remove or tree and vegetation removal. I'm not quite sure whether that is enough to satisfy wordings of conditions.
As I said, I'm happy to take on board any other suggestions.
Yes. Well, I think the intent is there. There's probably, either way, there's going to be a fair bit of debate as to how you can achieve that. I mean, the applicants have already said that they, I'll support it. I just think that there's going to be some difficulty in achieving it. Not only do you then require the approval of the city with the advice from Main Roads, but then you'll have to go to other government authorities to get approval to remove vegetation. So it's not an easy fix in this case. And in terms of Main Roads requirements, they may still require things like to minimise tree removal, retaining, piping, drainage, etc. So either way, it's a better condition in the sense that it flags the intent to minimise the amount of work, but it depends on the way in which the advice will come from Main Roads and tree removal.
If I may, maybe it needs tree removal, minimise tree removal on earth. Is that either way, I think it's going to require earthworks one way or another. As I said, I'll support the amendment, but I just have some concerns at implementing it. However, that being the case, everyone's had a say on it. As mover, do you wish to say anything further? No, I think we've had.
If not, well, we're moving an amendment number 1. Everyone's clear on the wording? Okay, thank you. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Amendment number 2.
Make sure 5.1 is consistent with 3.1, which I think basically, if I'm correct, just needs to remove the last part of that existing condition to the satisfaction of Main Roads. Is that correct? You said it can't be to the satisfaction of another entity.
No, that's right. So
the satisfaction of the city.
Something like road upgrades to provide for access to development shall be constructed, shall be approved to the satisfaction
of the city.
city and implemented in accordance with approved detailed design. And if you want to leave it at the full cost to the applicant, it would stop there, full stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only thing, because actually the first one refers to concept design, not detailed design, but
Well, once you get a concept design, you've got to do a detailed design once you've decided
what's doable.
yeah. This is the design, yeah. Okay, so you've moved that?
Yeah, I'm happy to move that, thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ryan, thank you. You wish to speak further on that?
No, I think it's good enough.
Councillor Ryan, do you wish to speak to it? Any other panel member wish to speak to the amendment? If not, I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Do you wish to carry on with any further amendments, Mr. Knights, as submitted by the proponents and agreed to by council?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, amendment number 3 to condition 5.9.
Which was the removal of.
Wording would be
Removal of
the word
shall not
any
commence.
works required to implement the development as proposed, or at the development. You're moving deletion of those words from 5.9.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Seconder. Member Howe. Okay. Okay, do you wish to speak to the item?
No, thank you.
No, not either. Any member wish to speak to that amendment as agreed to by council? If not, I'll put the amendment number 3. All in favour? Carried unanimously. And finally, amendment to condition 6.5. Do you wish to move that as well, Mr.
Yes, I'm happy to move that.
As per the wording that's been agreed to by the council and proponent. Seconder? Yeah, Councillor Ryan, thank you. Oh, you put your hand up fairly quickly, Councillor Kennedy. I'll put you down as well. Seconder. Okay, you wish to speak to the item at all?
No, thank you.
Councillor Kennedy is seconder, no?
No.
Okay, well, I'll put that amendment. All in favour? It's amendment number 4, by the way. Okay, any further discussion or debate on the item? Have we had everybody spoken on the item?
Yes.
Yep, except me.
Yes, you.
Okay. All right, well, I will speak to the item. I think that it's a very good development that's been debated. The proposal has been through a public consultation period. A number of authorities have made comments. Were main roads. Dwer's main comments are on the environmental issues. The design review panel advice was looked at, and they've supported the proposal. Initially, they didn't. Well, they had aspects of it that they didn't support, but they've all been covered. The planning assessment addressed the zoning and land use appropriately. There is a condition for a legal agreement of the lots 15 and 16 to assure parking's available on a long-term basis. The built form has been looked at extensively, primarily from objections from an adjoining landowner. They've all been covered. The environmental considerations in return of vegetation well and truly covered, with 6 trees proposed to be removed, including in that number 2 dead trees. And the proponents are planting an additional 90 trees, which is good. The bushfire issues have been appropriately addressed. The proponents have delivered an application for the uses and structures to comply with the zoning and land use acceptability. And there are a number of plans that they have to prepare to ensure compliance with their technical submissions. And it's my view that the uses and development proposed are consistent with the planning framework. And I suppose, and I support the variations to development standards applied and supported within the RDAP. So that being the case, I'll be supporting it, and I will give right a reply to the mover of the motion.
Thank you, presiding member. I don't really have much more to say other than thank you to the other panellists for their support. I think it's a good result. I think the support of the neighbours ultimately has been what was probably an ambit proposal in the first place, but has been pared down significantly to meet the locality and the Caves Road destination. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That being the case, debate ends. I'll now put the recommendation with the 4 amendments as agreed. All those in favour? Yes, that's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. The agenda and part C, item 4, form 2 DAP application 0 none. Item 5, section 31, SAT reconsideration 0 none. Part D, other business, SAT application, Supreme Court appeals. They're listed in the current application report on the DAP website and affecting the city of Busselton. And item 2, closure of the meeting at 3:29 p.m. Thank you very much, panel members, for your participation. Roads Council staff for your participation, and the proponents team for their participation, and our hardworking secretariat, who, and I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. This is the last meeting this year.
No.
Woohoo!
We'll do another one.
We've got one on Tuesday.
One on Tuesday, the penultimate meeting. So Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you. Bye-bye.
See ya.